We're going to have another first-time slam winner at Wimbledon this year, as Ons Jabeur would take on Marketa Vondrousova for the Venus Rosewater Dish. I'll briefly preview this matchup and predict who I think would be our ladies singles champion here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. Ons and Marketa have met 4 times in the main draw on the tour, splitting their matches 2 apiece. Jabeur says she's going to be going for her revenge tomorrow, and rightfully so, as Vondrousova beat the Tunisian back-to-back earlier this year, first at the Australian Open in 3 sets, then at Indian Wells in straight sets. I do want to say though that Ons was not at 100% for either of those matches. She was first dealing with a knee injury during that Australian Open match, which she had to undergo surgery for. Then she played Marketa at her first tournament back post-op. That's not to take anything away from Marketa though, as she played great tennis those matches and probably wasn't even at her best then either. Speaking of the Czech, she's got quite a few seeds en route to the final, including Veronika Kudermetova, Dona Vekic, and notoriously Jessica Pegula, where she came back from 4-1 breakpoint down on the decider to seal victory. Her latest match against Elina Svitolina was much more straightforward though, the Czech simply having too much flair, defense, and overall energy and moxie for the working mama. A lot of casual tennis fans probably don't know that much about Vondrousova, maybe because of her injuries and inconsistent results. If you're not that familiar about Marketa, she reached the 2019 Roland Garros finals as a 19-year-old, and honestly, she's probably one of the most forgettable slam finalists ever. But at least she says she can say that she's had 2 final appearances regardless of what happens tomorrow. She is also a silver medalist, going runner-up in singles at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Throughout this tournament, Marketa has shown excellent defense, and then she also has a rather loopy topspin lefty forehand. I honestly thought that with her loopier forehand that she would only have success on the slower courts, on the clay courts. Plus, she never even made it past the second round at Wimbledon before this year, but she was definitely on my radar heading into this year's edition with her strong semifinal showing in Berlin. It has been interesting to watch her play in these championships, as, you know, she has a decent serve, but she's not going to serve you off the court by any means. She has a really strong slice serve out wide that can really trouble Jabeur, as sometimes Ons's backhand isn't as strong, especially on return. And then against Svitolina, who is a solid returner, Marketa won 73% of first serve points. On the flip side, she's also a strong returner, as she's able to neutralize a lot of strong, faster serves with her chip returns. And not only does that get her back to the points, but it also kind of throws off the rhythm and pace of the server. And then that lefty forehand, going back to the lefty forehand, it can really pull opponents wide and off the court, which then allows her to dictate with her following shots. Meanwhile, Jabeur has taken down 4 massive names this tournament, beating Bianca Andreescu, Petra Kvitova, Elena Rybakina, and Aryna Sabalenka. She came back from a set and a break and gained points down versus Sabalenka in her semifinal to pull off that incredible comeback win. This is honestly the best tennis that I've ever seen from Ons this entire tournament. She's been much more focused, and she's hit less silly drop shots and slices when those type of shots really aren't there for her, or aren't the best shots for her to play. She's been much more of an aggressive ball striker this fortnight, which has been the key to her success. Ons has also been using the slices and droppers as a good tactic and a good change of pace. Against Sabalenka, for example, Jabeur, once she started transitioning to using more slices, you know, she was able to win more points, and obviously she kind of ran away with the match towards the end. Ons has also served tremendously this tournament. She even outserved Sabalenka in my opinion, as she won 74% of first serve points and 64% of second. Ons has just had a really different focus about her at this tournament. It's just what a story for her to come back and play like this after last year's disappointment. You can just tell that she has that eye for the title. It's not like she's more of a newcomer. It's not like, oh, I'm in my first Wimbledon semifinal, first Wimbledon final. Like, no, she's been there, done that, and she's coming for the big thing. She's coming for the title. Now, talking about where Vondrousova has the advantage in this matchup, Marketa will be a very different opponent for Ons. Ons has to play Andreescu, Kvitova, Rybakina, and Sabalenka, who are all big ball strikers. In those matches, obviously there were times where Jabeur took the offensive, but it was much more balanced. And a lot of the times Jabeur was on the defense, you know, running and ripping and running. But here Jabeur will be in total control, and that can be a good thing, but it can also, just having that different look, I think, can be a little bit challenging for Ons to adjust to. Vondrousova is the type of player that will make her play a lot of long rallies, and she's made players like Svitolina overplay sometimes because of her excellent defense. She just scrambles and seemingly gets everything back in play, and then she's hit some incredible shots. You think you have Vondrousova beat, but then she'll run and get you with a looping lefty cross-court winner that barely hits the line. I can definitely see Ons getting frustrated by her getting a whole bunch of balls back that normally would have been winners against her previous opponents. The Czech lefty also brings more craft to the table compared to Jabeur's other opponents, as she trips and she drops shots pretty frequently as well. Talking about the mental aspect of it, Ons could potentially have traumatic flashbacks to last year's Wimbledon final, where she was in a winning position against Rybakina and she kind of went away from that match. Vondrousova also has confidence from those wins over Ons earlier this year, while Jabeur has not taken a win over the Czech player in some years. Another added advantage for Vondrousova is that she's still been going under the radar this tournament despite making the Wimbledon finals, which is crazy. It's honestly similar to Rybakina last year, where a lot of people weren't really thinking or talking about her even up until the finals. And I think this gives her an advantage because all the attention and all the hype will be on Jabeur. Will Ons finally get over the hump and make history for her country? I hate to say it, but not a lot of people will be thinking about Marketa, at least the locals. Marketa, by the way, is the first unseeded Wimbledon women's singles finalist in the Open era. Against Kvitova, Rybakina, and Sabalenka, Jabeur was a bit of an underdog, but here she's going to be the massive favorite to get over the hump. And if she doesn't, she might face a bit of backlash from fans of BB, Petra, Atlanta, and Arna, and I wouldn't even be able to defend her at that point. Now, talking about where Jabeur has the advantage in this whole finals matchup, Vondrousova has not played a strong ball striker like Jabeur this entire tournament. Pegula and Svitolina definitely gave Vondrousova more time and made her more comfortable out there to dictate proceedings, but she would not have as much time with Jabeur if Ons plays her cards right, and if she does what she needs to do and attack the Vondrousova forehand, because that shot is loopier and does not penetrate nearly as much as the Marketa backhand. It's like you're getting two completely different shots out there, which is really interesting. To this next point I'm about to mention, it's honestly crazy to think about considering her history, but I actually give Ons the mental edge here. She seems much more mentally tough this tournament, and she hasn't shown signs of the nerves that we're previously accustomed to seeing from her. She's been excellent at closing out matches, especially against Rybakina and Sabalenka. Ons, like I keep saying, has literally been playing the best tennis of her life, and like I also keep saying, she's just had a completely different look about her. She seems like much more of a boss out there. She seems more mature, and she knows the tournament is hers. Vondrousova, meanwhile, has shown some vulnerability, like in that semifinal where she's up 40 love in that second set and had 5 game points in that 5th game, but lost 3 games in a row before closing it out. However, even though she managed to close, I am concerned that if things get to crunching time with her, she might falter, as this is still a really big thing, winning your maiden Grand Slam title. Vondrousova also did not handle the occasion very well at all when she played the Roland Garros final back in 2019. Jabeur at least showed up in her 2 finals losses at some point in those matches, and she has much more recent experience in those slam final stages. Jabeur has also been on this stage before, playing in a Wimbledon final for the big walkout Saturday morning, and she also will have the crowd on her side, I feel, and they want to see Jabeur go for history. Ons also has the confidence of being a top player for quite some years now. She's been world number 2. She's, like I keep saying, this is going to be her 3rd Grand Slam final. Meanwhile, Marketa, she's kind of spotty with her results. So I feel like Ons will definitely feel like she belongs much more on the stage than Marketa. That's what I think. And then she also has the confidence too of beating 4 incredible Grand Slam players consecutively. It just seems like this is Ons's moment. So I have her win this match in 3 sets, get history, and become the first North African and Arab major singles champion come Saturday. Do you agree with me having Ons win this Wimbledon crown, or will Marketa shock the world and make a name for herself tomorrow? Comment below your thoughts, and make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post a men's final preview. Thanks for watching. I'm Christian Bass Knight, and I'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.